What if healing wasn't just physical but quantum? Have you ever felt like something within you was trying to speak, not through words but through sensation? Maybe it was the knot in your chest when stress builds, or that sense of lightness after a deep sigh. Most people dismiss these moments as simple reactions. But what if they're messages, signals from the energy field that shapes your body, mind, and soul? Welcome to the quantum power of energy healing, a journey into the invisible architecture of life. This is not just another story about wellness or spirituality. It's the story of how science is finally beginning to see what ancient healers have known for millennia, that everything is energy, and energy can heal. As you listen, allow yourself to imagine that your body is more than skin and bone. Imagine it as a symphony of vibrations, an intelligent field that listens, responds, and transforms. This is where the story begins. We live in a world that glorifies quick fixes. A pill for every pain, a screen for every silence. And yet, beneath all the noise, so many of us still feel unwell, not just physically, but emotionally and energetically. We sense imbalance. We feel drained, disconnected, searching for something deeper that medicine alone can't name. That's the moment energy healing steps in, quietly, compassionately, like an ancient language rediscovered. For thousands of years, civilizations across the globe have worked with invisible life force. The Chinese called it Qi, Indians called it Prana, and the Japanese call it Ki. Though the names differ, the truth behind them is remarkably similar. All living things are animated by a universal energy, and when that energy flows freely, health follows. But when that energy becomes blocked by stress, trauma, or emotional pain, illness arises. It's a concept that modern science, for a long time, brushed aside. But now, quantum physics and neurobiology are reopening the conversation. And in this book and this story, we explore how ancient wisdom and modern science are finally shaking hands. Energy healing, at its heart, is simple. It says, "You are not broken. You're just out of tune." Think of your body as an orchestra. Each organ, thought, and emotion plays a note. When all are in harmony, you experience health, clarity, peace. But when trauma, fear, or overthinking disturb the rhythm, the melody falters. Energy healing helps retune that music. Practices like Reiki, acupuncture, Qigong, and sound therapy are not about magic, they are about restoring resonance. They remind your system how to vibrate in alignment again. And what's fascinating is that modern research is beginning to show that these practices may indeed affect physiology, lowering stress hormones, improving immune response, and altering brainwave patterns. So how does this all work? To understand that, we must travel back, not just through history, but through science itself. Picture ancient China, thousands of years ago. A healer studies the pulse of a patient's wrist, not to count beats, but to feel the flow of qi, the current of life moving through invisible meridians. He inserts a fine needle, guiding energy, like a conductor tuning an instrument. The patient breathes deeply, a subtle warmth spreads, and pain eases. Across the world, in India, sages observe the same truth, but through a different lens. They call it prana, the breath of life. They map out channels called nadis and spinning centers called chakras. Through yoga, meditation, and herbal medicine, they keep the currents flowing, understanding that body, mind, and spirit are inseparable. And far from both, in the Americas and Australia, indigenous healers dance and drum to awaken the earth's energy. Smoke from sacred herbs rises, carrying prayers skyward, reconnecting humans to the natural frequencies of life. These practices, though oceans apart, speak the same language: harmony, balance, connection.
But not everyone saw it that way.
As civilization entered the age of science, the Enlightenment shifted focus from spirit to structure. The human body became a machine, its mysteries dissected, measured, catalogued. This was the birth of the biomedical model, health reduced to chemistry and anatomy. It brought incredible breakthroughs, yes, antibiotics, surgery, vaccines, but it also stripped something away: the understanding that consciousness and energy are part of healing too. By the 20th century, energy medicine was dismissed as superstition. Yet the irony is that science itself, through quantum physics, began to uncover realities far stranger than any mystic tale. At the quantum level, nothing is solid. Atoms are 99.999% empty space, and the remaining fraction is not matter, but energy in motion. Light, electrons, even the DNA in your cells behave as both particles and waves. This phenomenon, called wave-particle duality, means everything vibrates. You, me, the chair you sit on, the thought you think, all are patterns of energy dancing in form. When two particles interact, they become entangled, meaning a change in one instantly affects the other, no matter the distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But this spooky phenomenon may help explain why energy healing works across time and space, why one person's focused intention can shift another's energy field even miles away. And then there's the observer effect, the idea that the act of observing can influence what is observed. In quantum experiments, particles behave differently when watched. In energy healing, a similar principle applies. Intention, conscious, loving attention, changes the field. A healer's focus is not passive, it's participatory. When a practitioner sends healing energy with compassion, it may alter biological systems not through physical touch, but through informational resonance. Science, of course, still debates this. Critics argue there's not enough empirical evidence, and they're right to ask for rigor. But perhaps the question isn't whether energy healing fits science, but whether science is ready to expand enough to include energy. After all, the placebo effect, once seen as a nuisance in trials, now reveals the power of belief itself to trigger healing responses. The brain releases real chemicals when it expects improvement. If thought alone can alter biology, is it really such a leap to imagine that intention and energy can too? In hospitals, more physicians are starting to ask this question. Integrative medicine centers now offer Reiki and mindfulness programs alongside conventional care. Patients report reduced pain, anxiety, and faster recovery times. It's not about choosing between medicine and energy, it's about weaving them together. Let's pause and imagine a story. A woman named Elena is battling chronic fatigue. Doctors have run every test, prescribed every supplement, but the exhaustion lingers. On a friend's suggestion, she tries Reiki. She lies down, skeptical but open. The practitioner places hands lightly over her heart. No words, just quiet presence. Within minutes, Elena feels a warmth spreading through her chest, a calm she hasn't felt in years. After the session, she sleeps deeply, dreams vividly, wakes lighter. Over the next weeks, she notices subtle shifts, less anxiety, more energy, and ease she can't quite explain. Was it placebo? Perhaps. Was it energy alignment? Perhaps that too. The real question is, does it matter which if she healed? Energy healing is not about choosing belief over science. It's about recognizing that the human system is both measurable and mysterious. Quantum physics gives us the vocabulary to talk about this mystery. It shows us that we are energetic beings in a universe of entanglement, that consciousness and matter may be more intertwined than we once imagined. The ancients didn't have particle accelerators or equations, but they knew this truth experientially. They felt the pulse of the universe within themselves. Now, centuries later, modern instruments are catching up, measuring electromagnetic fields around the heart and brain, mapping energy frequencies emitted by cells, and recording changes in coherence when humans meditate or send love. These findings point to a simple but profound truth. The human being is not a closed system. We are biofields, dynamic networks that communicate constantly with the world around us. And when that communication flows smoothly, we thrive. When people say, "I feel drained around certain people," or "I get good vibes from that place," they're describing energetic exchanges. Our language already knows it. We feel energy before we analyze it. Think of the moments that make your chest expand, standing before the ocean, hearing a loved one laugh, watching a sunset. Your energy shifts, expands, synchronizes with beauty. The same thing happens in healing. When intention, compassion, and energy meet, coherence is restored, not just in the body, but in the field around it. Now, let's travel into one of the most intriguing bridges between energy and science: resonance. Every atom vibrates at a certain frequency. When one object vibrates strongly, another nearby can start to vibrate in harmony. This is resonance. In healing, it means that a coherent, balanced energy field, like that of a calm healer, can help synchronize an imbalanced one, like that of a stressed patient. This is why calmness is contagious, and why love, the highest vibration, can transform. Even modern medical devices use this principle. Ultrasound therapy, for example, uses vibrational energy to repair tissue. Brainwave entrainment uses sound frequencies to reduce anxiety. So the line between scientific and energetic is not as rigid as it seems. As our understanding grows, one truth becomes undeniable. Healing is not just about fixing, it's about remembering wholeness. Energy healing invites you to remember that wholeness, not as something to earn, but something already within. We often think of energy healing as mystical, but perhaps it's just natural as the body's ability to heal a wound or the mind's ability to release a thought. The difference is awareness. The more aware we become of our energy, how it moves, responds, and resonates, the more empowered we are to guide it. Before we move into the deeper scientific connections and real-life evidence in Part 2, let's reflect on this. Across time, across continents, across cultures, humanity has whispered the same truth through different tongues, that we are more than flesh, and healing is more than medicine. The ancients knew it through intuition. Modern scientists glimpse it through microscopes. You feel it through experience. And maybe, just maybe, energy healing is the bridge where all three meet. Imagine, for a moment, that every cell in your body is listening. Listening not just to the chemicals coursing through your blood, but to the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the energy you emit. Science now shows that this is not poetry, it's physiology. Your cells respond to your state of mind. They listen to your emotional language. When you're calm, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and coherent, sending signals of safety throughout your body. When you're stressed or afraid, those rhythms grow chaotic, sending messages of alarm. Energy healing works with this subtle communication system, aligning the energetic music of the body with frequencies of peace and coherence. In recent years, researchers have started to measure these effects in laboratories and clinics. At first, they were skeptical. How could invisible energy alter physical outcomes? But as studies emerged, patterns began to appear. In hospitals, Reiki was shown to reduce post-operative pain and anxiety. Therapeutic touch, once dismissed as too mystical, helped surgical patients recover faster, needing fewer pain medications. Pregnant women receiving energy treatments reported lower stress levels, and their babies were born calmer, with healthier heart rates. The data may not yet satisfy every skeptic, but the direction is clear. Something real is happening. Something measurable. When practitioners place their hands above the body, not touching, just focusing, instruments detect subtle electromagnetic fluctuations. The body itself emits a measurable energy field, particularly from the heart, which extends several feet beyond the skin. When two people enter coherence together, one calm, one receiving, their fields can synchronize. This isn't fantasy, it's physics. It's resonance in action. And beneath that resonance lies intention, the most powerful, invisible tool of all. Intention is not wishful thinking. It's focused consciousness. It's what happens when the mind and heart align on a single frequency. In one fascinating experiment by Dr. William Tiller at Stanford, trained meditators were asked to imprint electrical devices with specific intentions, like increasing the pH of water. The devices, when activated in another lab thousands of miles away, produced measurable changes. Tiller concluded something extraordinary. Intention leaves an energetic signature. Consciousness can imprint matter. Now, imagine that same principle applied to healing. When a practitioner focuses a loving, coherent intention toward another person, they're not merely thinking positive thoughts. They're sending an organized vibration that the body can recognize and respond to. We've seen glimpses of this power through what's called a placebo effect, but maybe placebo is simply a clinical word for belief as energy. The body responds to expectation because expectation carries frequency. Hope has a wavelength. But energy healing isn't only about belief, it's about biology. When someone receives energy healing, their body often enters a parasympathetic state, the rest and digest mode that allows repair. Heart rate slows. Cortisol drops. The immune system reactivates. Researchers studying Reiki and Qigong found that participants' brain waves shifted toward alpha and theta patterns, states associated with creativity, meditation, and repair. The nervous system begins to synchronize. The body remembers how to heal. This is where the bridge between quantum physics and physiology becomes stunningly clear. At the subatomic level, everything vibrates. When energy patterns are disordered through trauma, tension, or fear, they create interference. Healing brings coherence. Cells begin to communicate again. Immune function strengthens. Pain signals quiet. The body doesn't need to be commanded to heal. It just needs to be reminded. Let's explore a few real stories that illustrate this dance between energy, intention, and biology. A young man suffering from chronic back pain had tried everything: physical therapy, medication, surgery consultations. Nothing worked. One day, a nurse trained in therapeutic touch offered to help. He agreed, skeptical but desperate. The nurse simply hovered her hands above his spine, focusing quietly. Within minutes, he felt warmth, then a release, like invisible knots loosening. Over the next weeks, his pain decreased by 75%. He returned to hiking. When he was later interviewed, he said, "It wasn't just my back that healed. It was the fear that I'd never be whole again." This is what energy healing often restores. Not only the body, but hope itself. Another story comes from a woman with late-stage cancer in palliative care. Her family introduced daily Reiki sessions as part of her comfort routine. The treatments didn't cure the cancer, but something remarkable happened. Her anxiety disappeared. She slept peacefully, smiled more, and her pain lessened. Her doctors noted she required far less medication. Her family said the energy work gave them something priceless: peace in the hardest days. Sometimes healing isn't about changing fate. It's about transforming the way we meet it. As energy healing gains recognition, hospitals around the world are beginning to integrate it into mainstream care. The Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, and Johns Hopkins now offer Reiki and energy medicine programs. Nurses are being trained to use touch and intention to comfort patients. These are small steps, but profound ones, signs that humanity is remembering what it once knew, that healing is not only chemical, it's energetic. The bridge between ancient wisdom and modern science is being built brick by brick. Traditional Chinese medicine speaks of qi flowing through meridians. Ayurveda describes prana moving through nadis. Quantum physics speaks of energy fields and vibrational frequencies. Different languages, one reality. What once sounded mystical is now being mapped. Quantum biology shows that your DNA emits photons, tiny bursts of light, that help cells communicate. Your heart's electromagnetic field influences your brain waves and even the emotional states of people near you. When you meditate or send compassion, that field grows stronger and more coherent. This is the science of presence, the measurable power of love, intention, and awareness. But with power comes responsibility. Energy healers must act with integrity, humility, and ethics. True healing is never about control, it's about service. It's about creating space for transformation, not forcing outcomes. Practitioners must ensure the safety and autonomy of those they work with, honoring free will, medical boundaries, and emotional consent. The healer is not the source of healing, but a channel for it. And for those who receive healing, The greatest empowerment lies in realizing that they are not passive recipients, but co-creators. The energy doesn't flow to you. It flows through you. So how can we, as everyday people, begin to experience this for ourselves? You don't need to be a master or a monk to feel energy. Start simply. Place your hands a few inches apart. Relax. Breathe slowly. Now move your palms closer together, then apart again. Can you sense a gentle magnetism, a subtle warmth, a tingle? That's energy. It's been there all along. The more you practice awareness, the more sensitive you become. Meditation strengthens this connection. So does spending time in nature, walking barefoot, breathing deeply, letting your nervous system sync with the planet's rhythm. Energy healing begins as awareness, and awareness itself is healing. You might wonder, if this energy is real, why can't we see it? The truth is, we see only a sliver of reality. The human eye perceives less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. We can't see Wi-Fi, gravity, or love, but we experience their effects every day. Energy healing works in that same invisible range, subtle yet powerful, unseen yet deeply felt. And as we open to that subtle world, our definition of health expands. To heal, in the deepest sense, is to remember our unity with everything. When you begin to view yourself not as a separate being, but as part of an interconnected field of energy, of life, healing stops being a task and becomes a return. This is why energy healing feels so natural, because it's a homecoming. And now, as our journey nears its close, let's pause on one thought. The quantum world teaches us that everything is connected, that observation shapes reality, and that energy responds to intention. Ancient wisdom teaches the same, that the heart is the true healer and love is its frequency. When you bring the two together, science and soul, you realize they were never separate. You are a field of light in constant dialogue with the universe. Every emotion you feel, every thought you think, every breath you take, sends ripples through the quantum sea. Healing begins the moment you remember that you can choose the vibration of those ripples.
Choose calm. Choose compassion.
Choose coherence. And watch how life begins to respond. So whether you practice Reiki, meditate at dawn, or simply breathe with awareness, know this. You are participating in the greatest experiment of all, the experiment of consciousness healing itself. Energy healing is not about escaping the physical world. It's about illuminating it. It's about realizing that within you lies the same creative force that moves galaxies and grows forests. When you harness that energy with intention, love, and awareness, life doesn't just happen to you. It flows through you. And that, dear listener, is the true quantum power of healing. If this story has sparked something in you, curiosity, calm, or the quiet sense that you are more than you once believed, let that feeling stay. Carry it into your day. Notice how your body responds when you breathe with awareness, when you speak with kindness, when you rest without guilt. That is energy healing in motion. And if you'd like to explore these ideas further, to dive deeper into the science and stories that inspired this journey, you can read the full book, The Quantum Power of Energy Healing, available now on Amazon KDP. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more mind-expanding audiobooks, each designed to awaken your inner science and soul. Because healing is not just something you receive, it's something you remember.